I took her son in like my own, helped him with homework, coached his soccer games. One night, he looked me dead in the eye and said, "You're not my real dad. Mom says you're just a wallet." I thought he was joking. Until I saw her text to her ex. That night I wrote a letter, packed my stuff, and then did something she never saw coming. I never thought I'd be the guy telling a story like this. But here I am. It started 6 years ago at a backyard barbecue in Fort Collins, Colorado. Hot day, sun beating down, cheap beer in hand. That kind of lazy afternoon where nobody expects anything big to happen. I had just finished a roofing job that morning. Still had tar on my hands. I wasn't even gonna go to the party, but my buddy Dale talked me into it. That's when I saw her, Kayla. She was across the yard, near the grill, holding a squirmy little kid on her hip. Jessie. 4 years old. Blonde hair, same deep-set eyes as her. I remember she looked tired, like she hadn't had a full night of sleep in years, but when she smiled at me, it hit me like a truck. We talked by the cooler for a while. She said her ex bailed before Jessie could talk. Told me she worked at a dental office, did everything on her own. I didn't have much going on outside of work, so I gave her my number. She called that night. Things moved fast. Too fast, maybe? Within 3 months, I was picking Jessie up from daycare, eating dinner with them most nights. Kayla always said she liked how stable I was. Said I made her feel safe. She cried the first time I paid for her car repair without asking. Said no one had ever done that for her. By the next year, we bought a house together, split down the middle on paper, but I paid the down payment and every mortgage since. I handled the bills. She bought groceries and cooked when she could. Jessie started calling me Dad. I never corrected him. I was proud to be that for him. Every night, I'd sit down with him to go over math or spelling. He was a smart kid, but easily distracted. If he got an A, we'd go out for pizza. If he struck out at baseball, I'd tell him about the time I dropped a fly ball in 8th grade and cried behind the dugout. We were a family. At least I thought we were. Looking back, there were signs. I was too blind to see them. Sometimes Kayla would stay out late, say she was at a friend's house. She never let me meet that friend. She got more distant. Stopped laughing at my jokes. Pulled away when I touched her shoulder. Then she started picking fights. Always about dumb stuff. If I left the dishwasher open or forgot to pick up almond milk, she'd say I didn't appreciate her. I thought maybe she was depressed. I even looked up therapists in town and offered to pay. She said I was being dramatic. But I never saw it coming from Jessie. It happened on a Thursday night. He was 11. We'd just come back from soccer. He played midfield and was proud of how far he could kick. I made spaghetti because that's what he liked. We sat at the table. I asked about school. He was quiet. Then he said it. Looked me dead in the eye and said, "You're not my real dad. Mom says you're just a wallet." Just like that. No emotion. Just words. At first I laughed a little. I thought he was messing with me. But then I looked at him. He wasn't joking. He just stared, like he was waiting for me to react. I looked at Kayla. She didn't even blink. Didn't defend me. Didn't say, "That's not true," or, "Don't say that." She just sat there chewing like it was any other Thursday. I went cold. Real cold. That kind of numb you get when you crash your bike and don't feel pain yet. That night I couldn't sleep. I waited until they were both out cold and I took her phone from the charger in the kitchen. She always said we didn't need secrets. That trust was everything. I opened her texts. No password. And I found out who MS was. Mark Scott. Jessie's real dad. The guy she told me disappeared. The one she said was a coward. They had been texting. Not once or twice. Every day. For months. She told him she missed him. That she still loved him. That I was useful. And that I was footing the bills while she figured things out. She said Jesse didn't see me as a father. She even laughed in one text about how I bought him a telescope for Christmas when the kid doesn't even like space stuff. There were photos too. Screenshots of conversations between her and her friends, mocking me, saying I was easy to manipulate. She even said she planned to slowly transition Jesse back to knowing his real dad, once she figured out how to handle the finances. There it was. All of it. She used me. I wasn't her partner. I was a goddamn sponsor. I didn't blow up. I didn't throw anything. That's not me. At 3 o'clock in the morning, I sat at the kitchen table and wrote a note. Plain and simple. I saw the texts. You made your choice. I'm not staying. I'll handle my end of things legally. Don't contact me. Then I packed my clothes, my laptop, my tools. Left the rest. Took my dog. Left the keys. I drove an hour out of town to a buddy's place and slept on his couch. That was day 1. Day 2, I called my lawyer. I told her everything. She asked if I had proof. I emailed her 78 screenshots, including the deed to the house, which had both our names, but every payment was from my account. I had years of bank statements, email receipts, tax records. She said we had leverage. We filed a motion to sell the house and split proceeds. Kayla fought back. Said she needed it for Jesse. But the judge didn't care. I proved I made the payments. The court ordered it sold. She begged me not to do it. Said Jesse would be devastated. I didn't answer. Then I canceled every single payment I had set up in her name. Car insurance? Gone. Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus? All canceled. Her cell phone? Cut off. Soccer team donation? Pulled. The car she drove was mine. In my name. I gave her 2 weeks to return it. She didn't. So I reported it stolen. Police showed up at her work. She had to call her mother for a ride home. Her perfect little world started crumbling. Word got out. Parents from Jesse's team asked why the season was cancelled. I didn't say much. Just that I wasn't involved anymore. But I made sure one parent, Kayla's old friend Mandy, got an anonymous envelope with screenshots. The texts where Kayla called her a nosy b***tch and made fun of her kid's lisp. Guess who stopped speaking to her after that? 6 months later, I heard that Mark Scott, the man she was planning to bring back into Jesse's life, got picked up in Wyoming for his 3rd DUI. Lost his job. Outstanding warrants. Real stand-up guy. She tried to reach out. Texted. Called. Even had Jesse leave a handwritten note on my office door. I read it. It said, "I'm sorry. I miss you. I didn't mean it." I kept it. But I never called back. Not yet. Because this isn't over. About a month after the note from Jesse, I got a letter in the mail. It wasn't from Kayla. It was from the school district. Apparently, Jesse had listed me as his emergency contact years ago, and no one had updated it. He'd been having trouble. Falling behind in math, getting into arguments at recess. The counselor tried reaching Kayla but hadn't gotten a response in days. They reached out to me as a last resort. I stared at the envelope for a long time. I didn't owe them anything. I didn't owe her anything. But Jesse? That was a different story. I called the school. Spoke to the counselor, Mrs. Robbins. She was gentle. Said Jesse asked about me a lot but never talked much beyond that. Said he didn't smile like he used to. Said something felt off. I didn't say much. Just thanked her for the call. I didn't know what to do with that information. So I waited. 2 weeks later, I got a knock on my shop door. It was Jesse. 11 years old. Hoodie too big for him. Eyes red. Holding a folder. I opened the door. He didn't say anything at first. Just looked at me, like he was scared I'd slammed the door shut. Finally, he said, "I'm sorry I said you were just a wallet. I didn't mean it." I was mad that you weren't around anymore. Mom talks about you like you never mattered, but I know better now. He handed me the folder. Inside were drawings, sketches of soccer games, homework pages, a birthday card he made for me but never got to give. I told him to come in. We sat at the little break room table I used for lunch. I heated up 2 slices of leftover pizza. He ate like he hadn't had a real meal in days. I didn't ask about Kayla. He talked anyway. He said she was different now. Cold. Always tired. Always on her phone. Always mad. Mark had come around once. He didn't even recognize Jessie. Spent the whole time drinking beer in the driveway and left after 2 hours. Said he'd come back, but never did. Kayla started lashing out, calling Jessie ungrateful, saying he didn't appreciate everything she did. He said sometimes he wished he could run away. I told him I wasn't going anywhere that day. That he could stay until we figured it out. I called a friend, Ray, who used to be a family lawyer. Told him the situation. He said it would be hard, but not impossible. Jessie wasn't my blood, but I had raised him most of his life. If we could prove neglect or emotional abuse, we might have a shot at custody. It was a long shot. But I had to try. That's when Kayla found out Jessie had come to me. She showed up the next night at my place, banging on the door, screaming, "Give me my son! You're not his father! You think you can just steal him?" Jessie heard everything from the back room. I locked the door and called the cops. She stayed outside, yelling until the police pulled up. She told them I kidnapped him. They asked Jessie what he wanted. He said clear as day, "I want to stay with Dave." She broke down crying on the front lawn, screaming that I brainwashed him. The cops warned her to leave. I filed a restraining order the next morning. What followed was a brutal custody fight. She tried everything. Said I was controlling. Said I left them without warning. Claimed I was emotionally unstable. That I manipulated Jessie into hating her. But she didn't count on the evidence I had. The screenshots. The text history. The cancelled payments. The car theft report. Even a few parents from the soccer team were willing to write statements about how I had been the only consistent father figure Jessie had ever had. The judge ordered an evaluation. They talked to Jessie, to Kayla, to me, and eventually to Mark, who didn't even show up to his appointment. Said he wasn't interested in getting involved in drama. What finally turned things was something Jessie said in his interview. He told the evaluator, "I don't feel safe with Mom anymore. I feel invisible. With Dave, I feel like I matter." Those words got written down. Read aloud in court. Kayla tried to argue, but she was unraveling. She got caught lying about things she said I did. She submitted altered screenshots, and my lawyer exposed them as fakes. The judge didn't say much, but his face said it all. Temporary custody was granted to me. But things didn't calm down. 3 days after Jessie officially moved in, someone smashed the windows on my truck. Spray painted the word "thief" on the garage door. There were no cameras, no witnesses. But we both knew it was her. I didn't respond. Didn't press charges. I installed cameras, replaced the windows, and kept moving. But Kayla wasn't done. She filed an appeal. Claimed Jessie was being turned against her. Claimed I was alienating her on purpose. The court ordered supervised visits. Jessie didn't want to go, but I told him he needed to face it. Even if it hurt. We sat through 4 supervised meetings. Every one ended in Kayla crying, accusing, or trying to manipulate Jessie into coming home. At one visit she said, "You think he loves you? He's going to leave you too." That's when Jessie stood up, looked her in the face, and said, "He already stayed longer than you deserved." I had never been prouder of that kid. But I knew this wasn't over. Not with someone like Kayla. She was going to push harder. Dirtier. More desperate. I just didn't know how far she was willing to go, until I saw the next message. It was from a burner number. A video. Of me. In my shop. With Jessie in the background. The camera had been set up outside the window. We were being watched. The video hit me like a gut punch. It came through at 3:12 a.m., from an unknown number with no name attached. Just a blurry thumbnail and the message. "You don't deserve him either." I clicked it. It was about 2 minutes long. Shot from outside my workshop window. The angle was shaky, probably a phone camera hidden between the fence and the back shed. It showed me working on a custom cabinet while Jessie sat on the stool behind me, reading a comic. There was no sound, but the message was clear. "We see you. We're watching." I replayed it twice before I could breathe again. Then I locked the house down. Security cams had been up since the garage was vandalized. But this camera angle, it wasn't caught on mine. Someone knew where the blind spots were. I checked the shed. Sure enough, someone had moved a loose panel on the side, just wide enough to fit a hand or phone through. No prints. Nothing left behind. I reported it to the cops, but they didn't have much to go on. No threat in the message, they said. Just creepy behavior. I knew better. This was Kayla. Or someone she got to do it for her. She was escalating. A week later, I got a call from CPS. Someone had submitted a report, anonymous, of course, accusing me of hitting Jessie. Said he showed up to school with bruises, afraid to talk. I was at work when the social worker showed up. My assistant called me, panicked. I raced home. Jessie was scared but calm. He told the social worker flat out. "That's a lie. Dave never hit me. Ever." Still, protocol meant they had to interview me separately, inspect the house, ask questions. It was humiliating. But I stayed calm. Showed them around. Answered every question. Provided Jessie's medical records and school notes. After 2 hours, the worker looked exhausted. She said, "Honestly, this doesn't line up. But we're required to follow up." She left her card. Said she'd file a false report notice if they found any signs this was done to harass me. That night, Jessie cried in bed. Not because he thought I'd hurt him, but because he realized how far his mom would go to get him back. 2 days later, we got another surprise. Jessie's school called. Said a woman claiming to be a family member showed up to pick him up early. It wasn't Kayla. It was her cousin Trish, someone I'd never met, from Kansas, who hadn't seen Jessie since he was a toddler. She told the front desk she was helping with custody. She even had a fake notarized letter saying she had my permission. Thank God the school called to verify. They stalled her long enough for police to arrive. She was arrested for attempted custodial interference. Claimed she was just doing a favor. Wouldn't give up who gave her the papers, but we both knew it was Kayla. I filed for a no-contact order against her too. The judge granted it fast. Now things weren't just emotional. They were legal. And dangerous. My lawyer moved to escalate the custody hearing to full legal guardianship. She said, "We're done playing defense. It's time to shut this down." We filed a motion requesting permanent guardianship, citing safety risks, psychological damage, and targeted harassment. Kayla responded with a counter-motion, then disappeared for 3 weeks. No court dates. No contact. Her phone was off. Nobody knew where she went. Then one night, I got a call from her mom. I'd only spoken to her twice in my life. She sounded tired. Angry. "Kayla's in the hospital," she said. "She OD'd on something. Probably pills. They don't know if she meant to or not." I didn't say anything. I didn't know what to say. She continued. "She kept saying your name. And Jessie's. I don't know what she wants from you, but if you still care, maybe say goodbye." I hung up. Then I sat down with Jessie. Told him everything. And I gave him a choice. "Do you want to see her?" He didn't speak for a long time. Then he asked, "Will it help?" I said, I don't know. He nodded. Then I want to go. Just once. We went to the hospital the next day. Kayla was in a psych ward room. Monitored. She looked thin. Eyes sunken. Tubes in her arms. When Jessie walked in, she broke. Sobbing, gasping like she'd been underwater for days. I'm so sorry. She kept saying. I ruined everything. I ruined you. Jessie didn't cry. He just stood there. Then he said the words I'll never forget. I wanted to forgive you. But I don't think I can. I don't hate you. But I don't trust you anymore. She reached for his hand. He stepped back. We left the room. He didn't look back once. But even that wasn't the end. Because 3 days later, I got a letter. From her lawyer. She was giving up custody. Said she couldn't keep hurting Jessie. That she wasn't fit to be his mother. Not now. Maybe not ever. But she added something else. One sentence that changed everything again. Mark isn't Jessie's real father either. That sentence stopped everything. Mark isn't Jessie's real father either. It was buried halfway through a typed letter from Kayla's lawyer. Almost like it didn't matter. Like it was just another legal detail in a stack of broken promises. But it mattered. I read it 10 times before I believed it. Jessie wasn't Mark's. And that meant Jessie's whole life had been based on a lie, and so had mine. I called my lawyer the next morning. She looked into it. Within a week, we had a signed statement from Kayla confirming it. She said she lied out of fear, out of shame, out of habit. That she wasn't even sure who the father was. She said she just picked Mark's name when I came into the picture because she knew he wouldn't come around and make it complicated. She admitted she let Jessie believe it for years. Let me believe it. Used the lie to push both of us away, to justify treating me like a backup plan. Now the truth was out. Jessie had no real dad in his life. Except me. I sat Jessie down on the back porch that night. The air was cool, and the town was quiet. I told him the truth. That everything Kayla had said about Mark was a lie. That I didn't know who his father was. And maybe she didn't either. He sat still. Didn't cry. Just asked, So you're the only dad I've ever had? I nodded. Yeah. I always will be. He took a deep breath and said, Good. Because I don't want anyone else. The court finalized the guardianship the next month. I became Jessie's legal guardian, sole and permanent. Kayla never showed up. Never appealed again. She checked herself into a long-term rehab facility out of state. I never heard from her after that. But I wasn't done. All that time I'd been cleaning up the mess she made. One thing had eaten at me. She didn't just lie. She didn't just cheat. She didn't just throw me away when I gave her everything. She used Jessie as a weapon. She dragged him through the dirt because she wanted to punish me for not being blind anymore. I wanted peace, but I wasn't going to walk away quietly. So I did something I never told Jessie about. I gathered everything. Every screenshot, every text, every photo, every lie. And I sent it to her boss at the dental office, the Colorado State Board of Dentistry, the school district where she volunteered occasionally, every parent from Jessie's old soccer team who once saw her as just a struggling mom doing her best. I didn't doctor anything. I didn't exaggerate. I just showed them the truth. How she mocked me, used me, lied about abuse, faked documents, and tried to manipulate the court to take away a stable home from her son. It spread faster than I thought it would. The dental office put her on indefinite leave. Then fired her quietly after 2 weeks. The board launched an ethics investigation, unrelated to me, but the pressure helped tip the scale. The PTA mom she used to gossip with? Cut her off. Fast. One of them even emailed me. Said, I used to think you were cold for leaving. Now I feel sick that I ever defended her. I didn't stop there. I found Mark. He was living in a trailer outside Cheyenne. Drinking, jobless, on probation. I called him. Told him Jessie wasn't his. That he was part of a lie that hurt a good kid for no reason. He laughed. Said, "Figures. Tell that brat I'm off the hook then." So I sent that recording to Kayla's mom. She hadn't believed me before. Thought I was the reason everything fell apart. She called me crying after she heard it. Said she was sorry. Said if Jesse ever wanted to come visit, she'd be different this time. I told her I'd think about it. But I didn't promise anything. As for Jesse, he changed after that. Got quieter for a while. More serious. But not broken. He started middle school strong. Made the soccer team again. Different league. Better coach. Real teammates. He told them his dad owned a workshop and taught him how to build birdhouses. Said it like it was the coolest thing in the world. One day he brought home a permission slip for a father-son woodworking night. I asked if he wanted to skip it, didn't want to make it weird. He looked at me and said, "Why would I skip it? You're my dad." It's been 2 years since all of that. He's 13 now. Taller than me. Stronger, too. The court records are sealed. His birth certificate still lists Kayla as his mother, and the father line is blank. But in our house, he's mine. In every way that counts. I don't talk to Kayla. Never plan to. If she turns her life around one day, I hope it's for her own sake. But I'm done fixing things for people who only see me as a tool. If that makes me cold, fine. But I'll tell you what, sometimes revenge doesn't look like slashing tires or screaming in courtrooms. Sometimes revenge is standing tall, building a life from the ashes someone else left behind, and making it better than they ever imagined. Sometimes revenge is keeping the kid, when all they wanted was to take everything from you. And sometimes, the best revenge is simply still being there, when everyone else gave up. Because I didn't give up. Not on Jesse. Not on myself. And not on the truth.